Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Howard who loved writing stories.
Little Howard dreamed of being a writer, and so he sat and wrote every night. But everything he wrote was fucking shite, yeah. Wubba-dubba-doo, wubba-dubba-doo. Worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world, worst writer in the world. He's a stupid, suck-ass, rubbish writer.
Welcome to the worst writer in the world with me, Rufus, and he's small, he's got 6 legs, and he's invading your picnic. It's
Howard Long! I have to say I'm quite disappointed that after we've been doing this for such a long time now, the guess what Howard actually is, and no one's entered. No one's written in with this week Howard is an ant, or this week Howard is Winnie the Pooh. No one's done it. What's going on?
So thank you to the British Comedy Guide for hosting this show. Thank you to all of our lovely patrons on Patreon who are nice to this show. And thanks to you for listening to this show, even though you're never nice to or about it, ever.
Too busy being nice to yourself with your door closed.
Some people who listen to this show might, they might think, it's so good. I enjoy it so much. Every week it comes out, but it's also over too quickly. Like so many pleasant things in life, it is over far too quickly. Is there a way I can get more? They might say to themselves. And do you know what I say to them? No, fuck off. This is all you get, all right? This is it. We do this once a week. That's a lot. Do you know how much work this takes? It's like an enormous amount. We don't just press record and then 40 minutes later press stop and then send it, all right? It's a lot. There's a lot more to it than that. Yeah. No, actually what I say is, in fact, although this is an enormous amount of work, it's not actually all we do. Because pretty much every week we also release something exclusive to our Secret Gang on Patreon. Whether it's a Secret Gang podcast, which is us having a good old chinwag for about an hour about all the things that have concerned us that month, or maybe it might be a brand new chapter of Gret Binchleaf, or it could be one of our many live streams. Wow. It could be my favourite thing that we do is the Mr. Flutcast, right?
Oh,
which
yeah.
I particularly like because I don't have to do anything. So that's my favourite. I just get to listen to that. I'm like a listener. You should make me pay for that, really. And you know what? You know what else?
Yeah, what else?
If you would like those other things, if you would like more audio and video entertainment by us, then you can join the Secret Gang for as little as $2 a month. You'll immediately get access to an enormous back catalogue of stuff. You'll get early Worst Writer episodes, and you'll get exclusive audio and video junk.
Amazing.
All right. And you'll also make us happy.
Oh.
Put a little smile on our faces. And that's got to be worth it. So, shall we get on with the show, Howard?
Yes, please.
So this story is called The Thoughtless Tale of Badthought, the Thoughtless Badger.
Ah.
So can you tell us anything about the situation you were in when you wrote this?
Well,
Were you in a big bath full of baked beans when you did this? So I know it's a long shot.
yeah,
It's a long shot, but imagine if I was right. Yeah.
and Heinz as well, the rich man version. None of your Aldi beans.
In a bath full of beans as well. That's got to cost a lot. You must have been a millionaire before you wasted all of those beans.
Right, it cost me £86 to bathe in all those beans, and I could have done it for 40 if I'd gone to Aldi.
But you don't skimp on your beans, do you?
No, when it comes
on your bath
when
beans.
it comes to skincare, I'm all about Heinz.
You're like Cleopatra, but with beans.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, no, take your ass's milk and get out of here. Right? I want posh beans. Get me Heinz.
Yeah.
They're like, there are more expensive beans than Heinz. No, I want Heinz. I have not heard of these more expensive beans than Heinz.
Make them the curried variety too.
Ooh, it stings.
With sausages in.
smarts.
Make it with the sausages in variety.
I hear they're good for the complexion. Ooh, sausage grease, lovely. Ooh, I seem to have a lot of spots now. So, all right, but you weren't really sitting in a bath full of beans and sausages when you wrote this,
Spoil
were
the
you?
illusion. Everyone's really excited to learn about my writing rituals and how I like to fill up a bean with sausages and curried
Fill
flavoured
up
beans.
a bean.
Did I say
Fill up a bean with sausages.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, before I write, I like to fill up a bean with sausages and then realise I don't really know what words are. Better start from.
You didn't let me finish that particular word, though. I was about to say, fill up a bean ath, which is
That particular
how
word
I
that you'd
pronounce-
said, and then said like 8 more words in
Yeah.
the sentence
Yes.
after it. Yeah, sometimes I like to say the second half of the word at the end of the
later.
sentence.
Yeah, it keeps the anticipation because people are on edge. Like, what does he mean in a bean? And then I'm like, actually, I meant bean ath.
I've just been about what you just said, King. Right?
Yeah.
Didn't really work.
Yeah, it did.
It's because by the time you get to the end of the sentence, you've forgotten. I've just been about what you just said, King.
It's like
Doesn't
that.
work.
Ik may on the Noonay. It's like that thing that they do in American movies, which I've never really understood what they're doing, but it's a secret code.
Nate on the New Nate. That's by George Bernard Shaw, right? So tell us, Howard, how old were you when you wrote this story?
I guess I was like 20, so I was pretty old.
An elderly man. So, The Thoughtless Tale of Badthought, the Thoughtless Badger by Anony Mouse.
Ah,
That's 2 words.
straight in.
Anony is the first name, and Mouse is the second.
Straight on with a great joke.
In for some great puns in this one.
Because that is quite a common name for a mouse, Anony, of course. So that's why the pun works. It's not like I just took the word anonymous and split it into 2 words, one of which doesn't exist. That didn't happen.
No. We all know that 80% of mice are called Anony.
Really, it should be Hey Nonny Mouse, shouldn't it? Because people say Hey Nonny, don't they? And if it's Hey Nonny Mouse, then that would be good.
I don't know if good is the...
Okay, brilliant then. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that Hey Nonny Mouse about a Shakespearean mouse would be a great TV show. Kids would love.
Yeah, Hey Nonny Mouse, of course, this year's big success in children's characters.
It's
All that Shakespearean mouse stuff that's so popular with kids. What's your favourite show? I like the Shakespearean mouse. I love it when he does Hamlet. No, my favourite is Henry IV Part 1. That's my Henry IV Part 1. It's so good the way nothing happens and it's all building up to a play that's still 3 plays away.
yeah. I've actually got mice. I've been awake since 3 this morning because a mouse woke me up.
In your bedroom.
Yeah. Fucking, what's it doing in my bedroom?
That's not nice.
It's like, fuck off. Go downstairs and eat the bread if you want something, but don't come into my room. I've seen this mouse before. I mean, assuming it's the same one. They say if you see a mouse, that means you've probably got a lot of mice. But I was like, I think it's just the one. Anyway, but now it's been in my room. I'm like, well, this is war. But what I've done is I've made it like a choose your own adventure for the mouse. So what I've done is I've ordered some humane traps, which when they walk in, it closes, and then you can take them out and just drop them in the woods. I've got the rent-a-kill ones, which murder them. So it's like, for the mouse, it's like, which door do you want to go through, mouse? Do you want to go through this?
One of them's got a murderer behind it.
Yeah.
And that murderer is me. Yeah. You're right. Usually when you see a mouse, it means you've got lots. But I lived in a house where we did have one mouse. And I caught it using cartoon logic.
Brilliant.
Right, I got a glass bowl and I propped it up with a little card box, like a box of pills or something, and got a string around the card box and went and sat on my bed with the other end of the string, and I put a bit of chocolate hobnob under the bowl.
Nice.
And the mouse was in my bedroom, this is when I lived in Foxborough Gardens in that really little, a tiny room. It was a really little box room, and so I'm sitting on my bed waiting for the mouse to come out, and eventually, after a while, I see it and it comes out and it goes. And it's like slowly going over for the chocolate hobnob. It's pretty excited about the chocolate. It's also nervous.
Yeah.
And it goes under the bowl. And unfortunately, I got too excited and I pulled it too quickly before it was properly under. And it got away. Right?
Shit.
So I'm like, it's probably learned. But then it is a mouse, so maybe it takes more than once. So I set it all up again and I went back. And it hadn't learned. It was okay. Eventually it came out again. I'm like, okay, take it slower this time. And so I waited for the mouse to go under the bowl, start like nibbling on the chocolate hobnob, waiting for it to be really into it, get distracted, pulled it away, and the glass bowl fell and caught it, and the mouse suddenly turned into a motorbike doing Wall of Death. Right? It was running in a circle around this. It was just like a glass bowl, a glass mixing bowl, and it was going so fast, just round and round and round and round, right?
Yeah.
And because I like this is. I don't like killing stuff. And there's a mouse in my house, I'm going to try and catch it humanely. And I managed. And then I got a bit of card, put it in some Tupperware, and then also I read you can't just take a mouse outside because it just comes back in. And also you can't release a mouse within a mile of your house because it's coming back.
That's so not true. Right? I mean, mice. If a mice doesn't know that a chocolate hobnob is a trap the second time, then it ain't coming back to your fucking house.
But anyway, so just in case this was true, fortunately, my housemate was going to visit her family in Woking the next day. Right. And so she took the Tupperware with the mouse on the train and let it out in a field. Now, yes, before you tell me, I realised that mouse definitely got murdered in that field very quickly, or just died. But at least I didn't kill it, and I felt good about that at the time.
Yeah.
But you do need to be attendant for that. You do need to be sitting there waiting for the mouse to turn up.
I mean, I could do that. It's not like I'm doing anything else at night when there's mice wandering around my room and I'm like terrified that they're going to get in my mouth.
Well, you can always use my brilliant scheme, which worked for me somehow.
Yeah, it did.
But I suspect it wasn't a
Basically,
brilliant scheme.
No, it was a Disney movie. What you did, because that mouse went out to like eat some food when its parents had been like, "Don't go out and eat some food because that's an evil man who will kill you." And he gets caught, and then he gets dumped somewhere in Woking, and now like Find a Nonny Mouse is the new Disney movie. Disney Pixar. Find Hey Nonny Mouse.
The movie is his journey to find his family again, isn't it? Yeah. Shit, you're right. I'm the villain in a Disney movie. Oh, fucking hell.
Not a purposeful one. There's going to be a cat in it as well that's constantly trying to eat Hey Nonny Mouse.
I'm the big villain at the start, but not the adversary that goes throughout the film, right? I'm the one who causes. I'm the inciting incident.
Yeah, and like by mouse terms, you're like an act of God, I suppose. You're like a tornado.
It's often been said about me. In mouse terms, you're an act of God. People say to me sometimes on the street. So, let's begin the story of Badthought, the Thoughtless Badger. Once upon a forest woodland, there lived, not that it was any kind of life, eating berries and doing toilet in the bushes, some woodland creatures. There's a lot of information in that sentence.
Thank you. I've managed to get the location.
The location, yeah.
The characters, the hobbies.
I don't know if hobbies are there, but we can
eating berries and doing a shit.
No, that's basic. Like, I'm going to put hobbies in for you. Once upon a forest woodland, there lived (brackets) not that it was any kind of life, eating berries and doing toilet in the bushes and playing Monopoly. Some woodland creatures. There was a quick mole with 20/20 vision called Seawell.
There were a mole. It's the correct English, of course, there.
Is it? Is it? Why do you think that? Teach us, Howard, why is it there were rather than there was in this sentence?
Because it said woodland creatures, so there were a mole.
Yeah, but then it says a mole.
Yeah, but it's going to list the other ones, so it's there were, because there's more than one of them.
No, actually, you're kind of right.
Yes!
They're in different sentences, but it says... Yeah, no, the reason it seems like it's right to say there was, because you have a full stop after Seawell. But listen to how the next... I'll put the two sentences together and you decide if they really are different sentences or not. Right? There was a quick mole with 20/20 vision called Seawell, an outrageously sensible and mature toad called Toadwell, an amusing middle-class rat called Richard Briers, and an interminably thoughtless badger called Badthought, the Thoughtless Badger. But those are written as different sentences. Not just different sentences, but different paragraphs.
Wow.
Which they're definitely not. And I think modern Howard is correct to say maybe there were... could be correct.
Sure, but I guess in this instance I'm just teaching younger children how to do paragraphing, so that's okay too.
But you're teaching them wrongly.
No, it doesn't matter. I was taught wrongly, why should they be taught any different? If they learn to write like
try
this,
with you, why should you try?
I'm going to give them 19 out of 20 if they write incorrectly.
It's weird though, isn't it? I mean, I'm not even sure. Like, if you wrote that as a list, like a quick mole, an outrageously sensible mature toad,
Yeah.
an amusing middle-class rat, and an interminably thoughtless badger, I wouldn't want to put there were. I'd still want to put there was for that. There was a quick mole, a sensible toad. Do you know what I mean?
No, because was is a singular word, and were
Yeah,
is
I know,
a
I know.
dubular word.
So
Once upon a time there was a dog,
That.
or once upon a time there were some dogs. Because you don't say once upon a time.
Yeah, that's true, because that's a plural noun.
Yes.
But when you have a list of singular nouns, once upon a time there was a dog and a cat.
There were a cat,
and a parrot.
dog, a parrot, and a monkey.
What about there were, right? there were a dog, right?
Well, I mean,
where does that come into
that's
it?
the
Once
correct
upon a time, there were a
Coville.
dog.
That's the correct Coville pronunciation, isn't it? There were a dog.
All right, I'll tell you what, I'll change it. There were a quick mole with 20/20 vision called Seawell. There were outrageously sensible mature toad called Toadwell. There were an amusing middle-class rat called Richard Briers. And there were an interminably thoughtless badger called Badthought the Thoughtless Badger. That's better,
That's
isn't it?
brilliant. And you can see what I'm doing here is I've learned from my schooling when I did that brilliant story about the wolf not being evil, but the pig being evil? Was that what that was about?
Something like
Yeah,
that.
big jumping pig.
The pig was evil, but also Red Riding Hood was evil.
Red Riding
wasn't it?
Hood was
and
evil,
the wolf
yeah.
was the innocent
So
one.
what I'm doing here is I'm turning these famous kind of characters, these Graham Williams, Wind in the Willows
Wind in the
characters,
Willows.
and I'm making the Badger, the most famously intelligent character, into an idiot. And
You're putting a Howard spin on things.
Yeah.
Because the mole in Wind in the Willows is blind, so yours has 20/20 vision, right? And I guess is he also slow? Because this says he's quick here. Is he a slow
moles are
mole
very
with bad
slow,
vision?
blind creatures, aren't they? It's not just Graham Williams didn't invent that fact about moles. He went and looked at some moles and
I don't know if moles are slow.
and
particularly.
he tried to get them to read, and they couldn't read a word of it. So he assumed that they were blind.
and slow.
Yeah.
Blind and slow, because it has not read my book yet, and I gave it to it. I gave him my book like 3 days ago, and I keep asking, what do you think of my book? He's like, oh, sorry, I haven't had time to read it yet. Oh, it's rubbish. I just haven't had I've been very busy, and I'm slow because I'm a mole.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
you
change
put
my
this
book.
big
Okay,
book
he
on
was
my
a slow
head as
mole.
well, and so the moles can't go very fast when they're under a book.
Flat dead moles are rubbish at reading. I have learned.
Yeah, dead mole could not see very well.
Flat dead moles have rubbish vision. Okay, brilliant story. All right, so that's the mole. An outrageously sensible and mature toad called Toadwell, because in Wind in the Willows, he's the immature, stupid one.
That's right.
An amusing middle-class rat called Richard Briers. You might have to explain that one to me.
I'm guessing that Richard Briers played the rat. I don't know.
So this one's just the same. You haven't put a spin on this one.
Yeah, there's no spin on the rat. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay, fair enough. And the badger, who in Wind in the Willows is the wise, sensible, elderly voice of reason, here is interminably thoughtless.
Oh, no.
So really, what you've done is you've rewritten Wind in the Willows, but just changed which character is which. All right, here we go. Badthought was a badger, and therefore looked like a badger. I tell you what this reminds me of, right? This reminds me of your death project. Hindus, being the Hindus that they are, Badthought was a badger and therefore looked like a badger. Likewise, the other woodland creatures all looked as you would expect. And the inside of a hole only ever looks like the inside of a hole. So let's skip the descriptions and get straight onto the story.
Hooray!
The thing is, right, I know you hate description and always have, and you're famous for it, right? But I feel like something like Wind of the Willows, like, okay, yeah, he looks like a mole or a toad or a rat, but they also wear clothes and have glasses and stuff, so there is something unusual to it. And like the hole, okay, it looks like a hole, but it's got like a table in it and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there is stuff to describe
In that,
that's
yeah,
unusual.
but not in mine. They all just live in very similar looking holes.
And don't wear clothes and are just normal animals. They don't speak. Badthought was in his hole one day when who should come visiting but Toadwell, the toad.
That's nice.
Toadwell looked serious and solemn as Badthought stood staring at him from the entranceway to his hole. We should decide on some voices for these characters. Let's look at the descriptions again.
Hello, everybody. I'm a badger.
But I mean, he's thoughtless, so I don't know. I feel like that's my wise, old, and clever person voice. I've got some really good advice for you. So we have the mole with 20/20 vision. Not much of a character there, but he can see. Mm-hmm. Sensible and mature toad called Toadwell. Mm-hmm. Richard Briers.
Oh, hello, I'm Richard Briers. Would you like some rat with your dinner? Huh?
I'm a rat. Would you like some meat
Why
in
are you
your
eating
dinner?
me?
Would you like me in your dinner?
Stop
Would you like
eating
to
me.
put
I'm
in your
Richard
dinner?
Briers. Stop eating me.
Oh, Felicity Kendall, stop putting me fingers in your mouth. That's not what this show's about. It's about growing vegetables and living next to people. Can't remember any of those actors' names.
That is the plot. That is the plot of that, though. That is the plot of that
to
show.
be honest, I don't think I've seen more than one episode of that show. But it is about growing vegetables and living next to neighbours, right?
That's it. If you look at the series Bible for whatever that show's called, that's what it says.
Good Life.
The Good
Is
Life.
it The Good Life, right? For those of you who don't know, we're talking about a 70s sitcom, 70s or 80s, I guess, that was very famous about a Richard Briers and a Felicity Kendall who decided to stop being wealthy job people and become self-sufficient.
Grow some cabbages, basically.
Grow some cabbages. Fortunately, they already owned a big house with a massive garden, so that helped them do it.
Yeah.
That leaves Badthought and Seawell. Badthought, the thoughtless badger. 0, 0, 0. I'll tell you what I think. That's my catchphrase. I'll tell you what I think about it. Crime, crime, crime.
Nailing it.
Badthought was in his hole one day when who should come visiting but Toadwell the Toad. Toadwell looked serious and solemn as Badthought stood staring at him from the entranceway to his hole. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" asked Toadwell, seriously and solemnly. Badthought hadn't thought of that. Thought of that. But since you suggested it, Badthought invited him in. "Why don't you come in?" "You can probably tell," said Toadwell, once firmly ensconced in Badthought's hole. "By my serious and solemn expression that something bad has happened." "I was just thinking that I could tell by your serious and solemn expression that something bad has happened." "They're not trying to dig up the forest to make way for a parking lot again, are they? It gets so tedious." "No, I'm afraid there's been an accident." "Oh, that's okay then."
Good, because he's Badthought, the Thoughtless Badger.
Okay. "I'm afraid not," said Toadwell. "It's Richard Briers. He was out scavenging when he got his beard caught in a hole puncher. Damn litterbugs. Well, some children found him stuck there and made holes in his feet, ears and tail and flung him in... Wow, that's macabre.
Oh, he's a rat, though.
I know, yeah, but okay, so if you found a rat and a hole puncher, would you be like, I think I'll make holes in his feet, ears and tail?
I know,
also,
you're talking to a person. You're talking to a person. Yeah, I know the tail would come off. You're talking to a person who found a peg and a pen and created peg pen. So, yeah, I guess if I found a rat and a hole puncher, I'd make some holes in the rat because I can't do anything to the hole puncher with the rat, can I?
When you say you created peg pen,
yes.
Do you mean you put a peg on a pen and then named it peg pen, or was there more to it than that?
No, just that, and then I put it on my lapel, and it was peg pen, and then I tried to sell it.
When was this?
At Castle Rock High School.
And did you sell it?
Did I sell peg pen? No, nobody wanted peg pen. Everybody knew it was just a pen and a peg had found on the field.
They're not quite as stupid as they may seem at Castle in Coville, are they?
No, actually they are. They just couldn't afford peg pen.
It was £1 million, and they didn't. You weren't good at negotiating back then, were you? Before you learned from me, you were like, "No, £1 million. I'm not coming down on it at all. You can have it for £1 million or nothing." And they're like, "Well, we've got £1 million, Howard." And they're like, would you take, say, 10? No, it's £1 million. "I'm afraid not," said Toadwell. "It's Richard Briers. He was out scavenging when he got his beard caught in a hole puncher. Damn litterbugs. Well, some children found him stuck there and made holes in his feet, ears and tail and flung him into the river to drown like a rat.
Wow.
It's a miracle he survived. He's in the forest hospital. He's in the forest hospital.
Good gag.
Yeah.
that a
So
gag?
that is not hospital, but hospital. Because
everything's
all
a
their houses
hole.
are holes, yeah. He's in the forest hospital. He may not make it. Does this mean I have to buy a suit for the funeral? Or do you think no one will notice since I come in black anyway?
I mean, badges aren't black, they're black and white.
I would say most funeral suits are also black and white, right? People don't usually wear a black shirt with a black tie and a black suit.
No.
They usually have a white shirt with a black tie
Yes.
and a black suit, right? So black and white is right for funerals, and also that's what badges are. So this joke works, it's just you didn't bother to say the white part.
Right.
You know, Badthought should be saying, "Oh, do you think I need to buy a suit, or should I just go naked because my black and white markings make it look like I am wearing a suit anyway?" Badthought, how can you be so thoughtless? No, I thought you might like to accompany me to the hospital to visit him. To the hospital to visit him. What for? Badthought, to be a good friend, of course. Ah, well, okay. Do we have to go now, though? I was just going to bed down for a month or two. Of course we have to go now. Sometimes, Badthought, I think you're incredibly thoughtless. And so it was that Toadwell and Badthought found themselves, having walked there, at the Forest Hospital. At the Forest Hospital parking lot, which had just been rebuilt, having been knocked down last Thursday by workmen trying to make way for a parking lot. All right. Sewell, the mole with 20/20 vision, was already there and saw them coming a mile off.
Merit.
Sewell had come in his new automobile. Sewell had come in his new automobile and was leaning on it, waiting for them. "Hello, chaps," said Sewell, bright-eyedly. That's a good word. "Hello, chaps," said Sewell, bright-eyedly, as they approached. "Wow, look at your automobile, Sewell. Can we go for an hilarious race in it, probably resulting in a comedy crash, but no one getting seriously injured?" "Really, Badthought," said Sewell. "Our friend Richard Bryars is inside, in great pain, and you want to go gallivanting off on an hilarious race, resulting in crashes of all things? Honestly, Badthought, sometimes I think you're a touch thoughtless." Bit of a theme emerging there, isn't there?
Yeah.
"Is that a no, then?" said Badthought, not really having listened properly or indeed thought about his response. "Maybe later," conceded Sewell, in light of this blind unthinkingness. Brackets, what a laugh, eh? A metaphorically blind badger, a mole that literally sees well and drives a fast car to boot, but a toad that is just kind of sensible and really rather pointless and in no way the most interesting character in the story. Whatever next? And then all three animal friends went into the hospital. Into the hospital. 2 by 2 minus 1. Richard Bryars was in a bad way. He had bandages on his legs, a cast on his tail, plasters on his ears, and chutney on his whiskers. Brackets, the latter was due to a more recent accident involving some chutney and Richard Bryars' whiskers. Close brackets. As the three friends entered, brackets, comma.
Brackets, comma.
As the three friends entered, comma, Richard Bryars seemed to be mumbling incoherently to someone who wasn't stood next to him wearing a dark hood and holding a scythe. "Is it time, O Reaper of Souls?" is the type of thing he was probably saying, but as I've already mentioned, his speech was incoherent, so I guess we'll never know.
Oh, no.
Seawell and Toadwell stood silently and solemnly at the end of Richard Briar's bed, like two animal-shaped bedposts. That's a good visual.
Thank you. That's me learning how to do describing.
Whilst Badthought, the thoughtless badger, made straight for the fruit basket and started wolfing down the fruit. Brackets, and on the other side of the ward, a wolf was badgering Dr. Brutefasket about releasing his sister, who was nuts. Badthought chastised Seawell and Toadwell. Badthought. Gut, spluttered Badthought. It's just GT. Gut, spluttered Badthought, through a mouthful of grapes, showering the pear with pips and making the apple jealous.
What? What?
Yeah, now, this is a really, really weird joke because, I don't know if you're aware, but there are actually 3 words that are pronounced pear, but with 3 different spellings. There is the fruit pear, right? There is 2 things that go together, a pear. And there is the verb to pare, as in to cut something in half, like you have a paring knife, for example. And they are spelt differently, right? And what this joke is using the pear, as in 2 people, showering the pear with pips, but it's also using the meaning of the fruit, making the apple jealous, showering the pear with pips, making the apple jealous. A joke that would work if it was spoken but not written down. Fortunately, now this is an audio version. However, the really interesting part is that although you're using the meaning of pear, 2 things that go together, and pear, the fruit, you have written it with the spelling of pear to cut something in half.
Oh.
All right. That's the really surprising part of this, because that one's not involved, because also this is not a verb, it's a noun.
Spelt it P-A-R-E.
A-R-E, yeah, which is really, really weird.
That's weird. And also, why would it make an apple jealous? That's also weird.
Honestly, we're here to see our friend Richard Briars, said Toadwell. So you keep saying, moaned Badthought. Well, he's ill. You really oughtn't to be eating his grapes. Do you think I might catch something? Exclaimed Badthought, immediately sticking his claw in his mouth in an attempt to gack up the fruits he had just consumed.
Got to gack that up.
I'd better get gacking. Quick, someone help me gack. No, I mean, it's just rather thoughtless, said Toadwell. Oh, so I'm not going to die then? Badthought queried half-heartedly as he reached for the plums. Just stop eating the ruddy fruit, yelled Seawell, resorting to the usage of naughty language under duress. Badthought had a quick think whilst looking at Seawell's angered face and decided, in hindsight, not to eat Richard Briar's plums. Presently, a pretty young nurse arrived. Ooh, hello. That's my pretty young nurse voice. Hello, I'm Nurse Stotewell, said Nurse Stotewell, the pretty young nurse who was a stoat. How's he looking? Asked Toadwell. Ooh, not good, I'm afraid, replied Nurse Stotewell sadly. You're telling me, interrupted Badthought, he looks yuckaroony. He's got what looks like poo all over his nose. Ugh.
I wonder who the target audience is for this story. I mean, who was I thinking this was for?
Really, Badthought, how can you be so damn thoughtless? Mrs. Briars is stood just behind you.
Oh, no.
And so she was. Mrs. Briars, or Felicity Kendall, as she was known, was, unbeknownst to Badthought, prior to his being told and looking, stood directly behind Badthought, and his cruel, unthinking words of suggestion regarding her husband's nose and bottom drops brought her to the end of her tether. And there and then she did break down into tears of sorrow and pity and upset and despair.
That's a long sentence.
Yes, it was.
Well done. Do I win any awards for that?
Yeah, rubbish sentence award. Say you're sorry, Badthought, demanded Seawell. Why, the damage is already done, replied Badthought, in earnest, but without a thought for other people's feelings in his head. That's enough, Badthought. Really, I think you should wait outside, roared Toadwell. I think I roared that pretty well. What for? Because you're upsetting everyone, barked Seawell, whose grandmother was a spaniel.
What?
Because he barked it.
Oh, okay. What it actually needed to do was it to be like, because you're upsetting everyone. Woofed Seawell. Woofed Seawell. Because his mother was a spaniel. Yeah, it makes sense then, doesn't it? It makes lots of sense when you say he woofed.
I don't know. I feel like it's lost something.
You're upsetting everyone, said Seawell, woofing and getting in his kennel and eating a bone. Now everyone knows because, right? Why? Yeah. Why did he get in a kennel and eat a bone and say woof?
Because he was a dog. No, I mean, what should I wait for? Can't I just go home to bed? Well, I can tell you could feel the tension in the room. Seriously, you could have cut it with a knife if tension was a tangible thing that you could actually cut rather than something that people feel and therefore completely unsliceable, or indeed if the knife were metaphorical. But I feel like because this is a joke, I have to do it twice, right? Do I have to say all that again?
Please.
Everybody stared with immense anger at Badthought, and the tension just hung and brewed. Only Badthought is so absent of any deep understanding or the ability to think that he was... Okay, switching tenses. I'm going to say that again.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm good. I'm just mixing things up.
Only Badthought was so absent of any deep understanding or the ability to think that he was just waiting for someone to speak and didn't realise that he was, in fact, allowed to leave and that they all wanted him to. At that moment, Richard Briers chose to breathe his last.
Oh, no.
He went. Much sorrow ensued. Now can I go? Said Badthought. I mean, seeing as he's dead and all, not much point in hanging around. Can I have his roller skates now he's gone? Well, I can tell you again. You could feel the tension in the room again. Everybody stared again with immense anger at Badthought again, and the tension just hung again and brewed again. Finally, Felicity Kendall in a booming contralto. What's a booming contralto?
It's like where they direct planes from, isn't it? Control tower.
Right, okay. So finally, Felicity Kendall from a booming control tower said, Yes, Badthought, you may go. Because there's not going to be a control tower in the room, is there? So she must be at a distance. And the roller skates? Just go, Badthought, and never come back, growled Toadwell. Okay, ta-ta, said Badthought, and gaily left the Holespital and tripped off home through the glorious summer sun, without an intelligent thought in his feeble badger head, but with a fistful of bananas. And the moral is, just because someone looks wise, it don't necessarily mean that they are. They might just be an inconsiderate old dunderhead. The end.
I would like to posit that actually Badthought, the Thoughtless Badger, is the better off character in this story.
Yeah.
By he's happy. He doesn't want to get involved with terrible things like that. Dealing with death, it's really boring.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's a dunderhead. I think he's the smartest person in the story. Because he just wanted to eat fruit and go roller skating and have a massive kip.
So when you were younger, you thought that we should all scorn Badthought for his lack of understanding and intelligence. But now, with the wisdom of age, you realise that his ignorance truly is bliss, and that we should all try and be more like Badthought. And when someone close to us dies, we should go, I don't care, give me his roller skates.
Yeah.
Oh, who's dead? All right, where's his roller skates? Go on, I want them to add to my collection. Look, listen, John, stop saying that no one owns roller skates anymore. All right? Why? It doesn't help. Every time someone dies, you want their roller skates, and they've never got any. Yes, but I listened to a podcast and it taught me two things about death. It taught me, number one, when someone dies, you should get their roller skates. And number two, you should make a video of all the things that annoyed you about them and watch it over and over again until you hate them. And that's what I do now.
Isn't it? I mean, dead people don't need roller skates.
That's true.
Badthought knows this. He's actually a more convincing older character than the Badger in Wind in the Willows, because wise old people, that's not really a thing, is it? Old people are obstreperous and annoying and don't care about anything other than their own selves. Themselves. Oh, Grandad, stop just caring about yourself.
Little Howard dreamed of being a writer, and so he sat and wrote every night. But everything he wrote was fucking shite, yeah. Wubba-dubba-doo, worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Worst Writer in the World. If you would like more stuff, go to patreon.com/manbycow and get loads for as little as $2 a month. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye, milk.
Bye-bye, milk.
He's a stupid, suck-ass, rubbish writer. Yeah.